To make sure that these results weren't just a statistical outlier, Dolinsky and colleagues conducted several more experiments with some variations. So for example, let's take a look at their third experiment, in which 400 students were asked to make a donation for special care children. In the control condition, they were just asked, "I'm collecting money for special care children. Would you like to contribute, please?" With this direct approach, only 11% were willing to contribute. In the dialogue involvement conditions, in which the participants were asked, for example, "How are you?" or "What do you study? Would you recommend it to others to study this?" In these dialogue involvement conditions, all in all, the success rate was about 3 times higher. There were about 31% of the students agreed to make a donation. And in their fifth experiment, which is also very interesting, they tried to figure out what happens if you disagree with the other person during this dialogue. I mean, when we talk to somebody, of course it can happen that we disagree. But what happens to the compliance rate to a following request if we disagree? Well, the study results from their fifth experiment tell us that when we disagree on a topic, that is not important to the other person. So in their study, they asked the other person, "Do you like the yellow color of the newly installed telephone booths?" Who cares about the color? And maybe then the other person said, "Yeah, I like it, it's okay." And when you then disagreed by saying, "Well, I hold a different opinion on this, I do not agree with you," this disagreement didn't have an impact on the compliance rate. What was the request? The subjects were asked whether they were willing to participate in a 15-minute lasting survey. And when the requester disagreed on the color of the telephone booth, the participants were still as compliant as when he said, "Yes, I agree with you, the color is nice." Because who cares? Who cares about the color of the telephone booths? But when the requester disagreed on a topic that was really important to the other person, and the topic they were talking about was whether the elimination of the flood damages, one has to know that at that time when the study was conducted, there was a big flood in Poland. The topic was whether the elimination of the flood damages is progressing promptly and competently. And when the requester then disagreed with the other person, maybe the other person said, "No, not at all, they are doing far too less," and you then say, "Well, I hold a different opinion, I do not agree with you," this really had an impact on their compliance to take part in the 15-minute lasting survey. Because maybe on the one hand, at first you might have talked to them like a friend. After you disagreed on this important topic, "Well, I don't like this friend that much any longer. If he really thinks that the government is doing enough on this topic, he is a fool. I won't help him."